Hello and welcome to the Brook Willow Knitting Podcast. My name is Anna and I'm coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is a podcast about knitting, a little bit of sewing, and whatever craft is piquing my interest at the time. I wanted to start out by just saying thank you to every single person who has reached out to me, either in a comment on my last video or through DM on Instagram, or even just subscribing to this channel. It was the most warm welcome to this community of knitting podcasts, and it definitely makes starting a YouTube channel a lot less scary. And I was able to have some awesome conversations with people about knitting, which is exactly what I wanted this channel for in the first place. So again, I just wanted to start out by saying thank you. Alright, so let's get into things. So, I really wanted to finish one of the projects that I showed you I was working on in my previous video. However, it's been a very busy 2 weeks with 4th of July. I ended up taking a long mountain biking weekend over the holiday, and it was so much fun, but my knitting definitely suffered from it. I was able to work on the Cottongrass Jumper quite a bit though. Last time I showed you, I pretty much just had the yoke done and maybe just started, I think I just finished the short rows before finishing the body. So here we are. I've made a lot of progress. I worked really hard. I really wanted this to be done for this video, but life happens. It's summer. I'm just so excited to almost be done with this. If you watched my last video, you will know all of the drama I had with this sweater. So actually this is the 4th time I've made this sweater. Yeah, can't wait for it to be done, but I'm in the home stretch, super excited. And just a reminder, the yarn that I'm using for this is 2 strands, one strand being Knitting for Olives Silk Mohair in the color Rust, and then this yarn from Knit and Crochet Stores. It's a chain up here in Minnesota. I am forgetting the details of this yarn, but again, I will link it in the description down below. So this sweater actually has a friend that I did not show you in the last episode. And here it is. So I made this sweater for my boyfriend so we could be matching on holidays, and he actually started wearing it so much more than I was expecting, which is great. Here's a picture of him up in Lake Superior wearing it. I remember he wore it every single day that weekend while we were camping, and he loved it. So it's kind of fun that we each have matching sweaters now, well, soon to be. I also used yarn from the same Knit and Crochet Stores. I will also post that in the description below. It's just been a while. I think it's Valeria yarn, and it was a Merino blend, and it's just in this navy and white color. But yeah, I didn't get the best of yarn for his sweater to start out because I didn't know how much he would actually be wearing it, and it was just my first one for him, so I didn't want to splurge on a ton of nice yarn. But this has been holding up pretty well. I thought it was going to pill a lot more than it has, and honestly, he's worn it at least 10 times since March, and there might be like some light signs of pilling, but it's really not that bad. The neckline's kind of odd. I don't know if it looks weird to you at all. So when I first knit this, I didn't follow the rules, and I didn't use a smaller needle for the neckline. I used just the same size as I used for the rest of the sweater. and the neckline was so huge. It was like completely stretched out to about here. I personally would have liked it because it was almost like a boat neck line, but I think on him he wanted a tighter neckline, and I was not about to rip out the entire thing to start over for the neckline, so I ended up just like weaving a piece of yarn throughout the entire collar like multiple times and cinched it up to give it the shape that it needs. It has absolutely no stretch because it's just tight yarn, but he doesn't mind. It gets over his head. It may not be the best or most comfortable neck, but at least it fits better around here and it's not like an off-the-shoulder sweater for him. Okay, so the next project I want to show you, I didn't show you in my last episode. It is one that I get stressed out just if I think about it. So I want to give you a little backstory first. I was watching one of the Gentle Knitters podcast episodes, and she was going through some books that she had with knitting inspiration in it. And when she showed her audience this book, I knew I needed to have it. So it is Glorious Knits by Cafe Facet. I believe this book was created in the 80s. It's so awesome, so colorful. The patterns are wild, and it was just right up my alley. I couldn't find it anywhere because it's out of print now, but I was able to find it on thriftbooks.com. I don't know if that's the right name of the website, but again, I'll link it down below because I'm sure they have a lot of other old knitting books in there too. That would be cool to find. And I got it for like $7. Okay, it is thrift book. It says it right here. Anyways, so a lot of cool patterns in here. I recommend checking it out sometime if you have the opportunity. But when she showed this pattern right here, I knew immediately that this was the first one that I was going to make. So it's just this super cool long cardigan, and I believe it's the rug pattern that they have. Carpet pattern. So I was close. Yeah, love it so much. I immediately went to yarn.com and purchased almost like $200 worth of yarn, which didn't end up being enough, but that's not the problem that I'm having. And I'm gonna need your help on this one too, because I don't know what to do. So let me just show you it. And I'm definitely gonna need to stand on my chair to show you this piece, okay? So bear with me. But here it is. Still going. Still going. All right, we've reached the end. This thing is huge. And especially as I stand on the chair, it confirms the issue that I'm having, that it is just going to be way too long. And I don't know what to do because this was so much work, like all of these different colors, back and forth, back and forth. I had to use like 4 different colors on each row, and there's so many cuts and ties and knots on the back side of this that if I took it all apart and wound it back into balls, it would just take forever to tie all the pieces back together. So I'm not sure, because even in the picture, which I'm going to show you again, it does go down pretty low to like her ankle, but this one goes down to the floor for me. And I'm a little bit taller than average height. I'm like 5'8", so I still think it might be just a little too long. Now, I did also use the wrong needle size for this. I had one that was one size larger, and I didn't want to go and buy smaller needles at the time, so that is part of the problem why it's too long, but also I think the pattern might just be too long too. I almost want to take off the bottom chunk of the cardigan and then just start the cuff at the bottom from there so it hits more of like my calf or even hopefully the back of my knee. I think that would be the perfect length for cardigan because this one is like a robe and I want to be able to wear this out in the world because I do think it's beautiful. I do like all of the yarn that I put it together. So I don't really want to give up on it, but the other option that I was thinking of doing is just finishing the whole thing and maybe trying to shrink in the washer and dryer, but I also don't want to destroy it. I have so many different types of yarns and even different fibers. Like it's primarily wool, but a lot of it is wool blends too, so I don't want them to shrink at different rates and making it all like scrunchy and weird. So I'm too nervous to do that and like ruin it forever. So I don't know. What do you think I should do? Maybe someone can tell me in the comments, and I'm kind of swaying one way more than the other, but I want to hear what other people have to say about that as well. Alright, so moving on from this nightmare. I haven't even knit this since like March. That's how much I don't want to think about it. Okay, I have been buying quite a bit of yarn lately. I'm going to show you this first one here. This nice yarn, and it is actually sock yarn. If you watched my last episode, you saw all of the potential issues I may be having with the socks that I knitted because I didn't use sock yarn. However, there's a lot of people who gave me great advice. Someone told me that I could get like a reinforcement thread to make it stronger, but then also, actually right before I started recording this, somebody commented and said that I don't need to even worry about using Roma because the Norwegian yarn is so strong that it can handle being a sock yarn. So that made me really happy. Thank you for all that knowledge that you gave me, because now I feel like I will be able to get more use out of these socks and be able to like wear them around more than just the house. But anyways, back to this yarn, sock yarn. It's Cloudborn Fibers. I got it on webs.com, yarn.com. It's Merino Superwash Sock Twist Hand Paints in the coffee with milk color. Personally, I think this is way too much milk for my coffee. Stupid. Anyways, I'm going to make some socks with these. I'm going to use Andrea Mari's Everyday Sock pattern because I've always wanted to make those socks. I feel like they're just like the perfect boot sock. And she also happens to be having a knit along called the DRK Adorn Yourself Accessory Knit Along, which that falls under that category. And I've never done a knit along, so I figured this is like the perfect time because I was going to make these socks anyways. So this will probably be my next project because the knit along is done in August. So once I finish up with that Cottongrass Jumper, I'm going to put these on the needles and I'm very excited. It feels very soft and nice, and it's going to go with just about every outfit that I have because it's just a neutral color. Okay, so I bought even more yarn after that sock yarn and it just arrived this week. I'm so freaking excited about it. Okay, it is the Double Sunday. It's by Sadness Garn, and it was in collaboration with Petite Knit. So you could probably guess who's going to be the designer of the next pattern that I'm knitting. Petite Knit. I'm going to do the Marseille sweater. I think I'm pronouncing that correct. I'm probably not. And I was thinking of using this as the base color. It might be kind of hard to see the color. It's like a really dark forest gray green. I wonder if they have the name of it on here. Must? No. No. I'm not sure. But then I was also gonna do these bright red stripes to go with the green. I just wanted like it to be fall colors, and I know this is kind of an obnoxious color, but with the green I think it's gonna be super cool. Another reason why I'm really excited to use this yarn is I'm pretty sure it's the first non-superwash yarn that I've ever purchased. I've always wanted to use non-superwash just because I want to reduce the amount of plastic on my yarn. I think they use like a plastic coating. I can't remember the process, but I know this is just like a little bit more raw and better for your knits. Yeah, another reason why I'm excited about this yarn is because I think I heard somewhere that a lot of non-superwash yarns don't have vibrant colors just because of the process to make them or something, but these are pretty bright colors. So I'm very impressed with just how pigmented they are. Yeah, so I'm very excited to start making this too, but I have to finish like 2 projects before I start on this one, but I'm so excited to make it. I've always wanted to make one of her patterns. I never have, but I just love how crisp and clean and just perfect every single one of the patterns she puts out is. And I can be a little neurotic sometimes with having things be perfect and clean, and so this is going to be the perfect project for me, so I can't wait. Oh, one more thing I should mention is there's few vendors that sell this double Sunday yarn in the US. I was able to find a yarn shop based out of Nashville, Tennessee called House of Yarn. So I just want to say thank you, House of Yarn, for stocking this yarn because now we can knit with it. Okay, so let's move on to a little bit of sewing. You may recognize this fabric that this top is made out of based on my last episode. I ended up making this little tank top, and actually I just reused it I got the top pattern from the Fawn dress that I wore in the last episode. It's just the top part of it sans the dress. I thought I'd make just a cute cropped tank top, and I'm pretty happy with it. I worked really hard on getting some sewing stuff done before the 4th of July, thinking I was going to wear it out there. And I ended up not even packing it, but I'm kind of glad because where we were, it's in the Iron Range in Minnesota, and it's just so dirty. Like, everything was just covered in red dust, so I'm glad that I didn't end up bringing this up here. My original plan for this fabric right here was to make the Pipit Loungewear set by Common Stitch, and I made half of the set. Here are the shorts that I made. So this is the front of them, and then here's the back of them. I just really like that little pocket back there. I could have worn it today as a set, but I wanted to wear these pants instead. Yeah, so these pants turned out okay, and it was definitely my fault, not the pattern. Well, first of all, they ride up really high in like the crotch region, so like they like pull right up, and it's a little uncomfortable and it looks a little awkward, and that was definitely my fault because I think they're supposed to sit like a little bit lower, like maybe more on your hips. And when I measured the elastic, I made it to be on my waistline to be more high-waisted, and that's what's causing it to kind of ride up a little bit in the front. I could probably figure out a way to make some adjustments to it, but honestly I don't really want to. I might just deal with how the fit is. One thing that I do wish is if they had pockets on the side. I know they're technically a loungewear, but I envisioned wearing them out in the public and they don't have side pockets. And again, I probably could have added them on myself, but I'm still a very beginner sewer and I just didn't want to figure that out. Another thing that I did to these, and I don't know if you're going to be able to tell, but I got a little sloppy with making this elastic waistband, like some of the fabric folded itself over. So I tried making it more intentional by ironing in these pleat lines to make it look like they're pleats. I don't know, there's like a pleat line there and a pleat line there. And I was hoping that would make it a little more intentional looking. And I think it did an okay job. I will give myself a C+ on these. And I definitely will still wear them. My next plan is obviously to make the matching top. It's got more of like a bell sleeve, and I'll put like brown buttons down the front that actually match these pants. It'd be a cute top to wear with these pants too. So that'll probably be my next project for sewing. I don't really have any other plans for sewing as of now. I got super into it for a little bit, but then I already kind of fell off, I think just because I got a little discouraged from these shorts. But I was also traveling and stuff too. I do have some leftover fabric from when I made masks this last year, and I have a ton of leftover fabric from that. So I kind of want to make a couple more of these tank tops with it, but maybe like figure out a way to make the sleeve length just like a hair smaller like that, and then even maybe a little longer or keep it as is. I feel like as a tank, the sleeves might be just a little too boxy, but maybe it's fine. So yeah, that's all I have for you this week. If anything that I'm talking about interests you, or even if I'm just good background noise to whatever you may be doing, it would be so awesome if you could like and subscribe this video and help support me grow this brand that I want to grow with YouTube, because I'm having a lot of fun. I love connecting with people, and it would just be really cool. Alright, well, thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye now!